Public comment will be taken in person for today's meeting. Mr. Clerk, let's begin our proceedings by calling the roll.
Yes, Mr. President. Blumenfeld, Harris-Dawson, Hernandez, Hutt, Hurtado, Lee, McCosker, Nazarian, Padilla, Park, Price, Rahman, Rodriguez, Soto Martinez, Yaroslavsky. 10 members present in the quorum, Mr. President.
Mr. Price?
Thank you, Mr. President. Out of an abundance of caution, I'm recusing myself from item 6 because my wife's employer has worked with an organization on this item in the past.
All right. Item number 6.
Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. Good morning, colleagues. So I'm delighted to be joined today by our esteemed crew here from the San Fernando Valley, our Valley Bureau for both for LA Fire Department and our Foothill Division and Valley Bureau to celebrate. You know, when something goes right, you got to celebrate it. So often we have conversations in the council about course correcting when things go wrong or things go awry. But these are the moments that we have to celebrate when things go right. And it was done so with an immense amount of professionalism, coordination, and cooperation with one another, respecting each other's roles at a time when it was a very volatile situation. And I'm talking about, it was back in March in the community of Pacoima, where an individual decided to harness a great deal of explosives for home manufacturing of pyrotechnics, otherwise known as fireworks, and blew the roof off their house, off their rental property. And what remained in the wake of that individual's reckless behavior was a volatile situation that required both LA City Fire and LAPD Bomb Squad, and of course our Foothill Division staff, officers, to work together to help figure out how we were going to deal with the remaining explosives that were on property. And it was a very volatile situation because it was happening in the midst of a neighborhood. Nothing, you know, something that we obviously saw happen a few years ago that we're still struggling to recover from. But I have to say, it was remarkable the amount of thought, the amount of respect and preparation that everyone went through in order to ensure the safety of our community and to mitigate the risk for the entire neighborhood. They resolved this volatile situation without further incident and without impact to the community, and I believe that calls for a great round of applause.
I'll begin by calling names. Kirsten Peterson, Christopher Dorner, and Zahir Malik.
The moral training of the kid is essential to have a good progeny. God has made emphasis on it and has taught us many prayers for kids. Here are some of them. And keep me and my children away from the worshipping of idols. Surah Ibrahim. My Lord, make me observe prayers and my children's too. Surah Ibrahim. Our Lord, grant us a spouse and the children's the delight of our eyes, and make each of us a leader of the righteous. Thank you, gentlemen. God bless you guys all.
So beginning on 18, and I'll walk you through the rest, this was actually a property discussed at the Judge Carter case for removal from the RAP program. And one of the things they actually discussed about this particular account is that there was no definitions as to the stipulation for how long the unit needed to be lasting, as well as whether or not the bedding created for that particular account was actually defined in the settlement agreement program. And it's difficult.
I'm sorry, you mentioned, Speaker, you mentioned item 18. That is a REAP item, a rent escrow account program.
Yes.
Would you like to speak to any of the other items, or you're welcome to speak to this during general if you'd like?
I am speaking on 18 through 23 and item number 1. So again, on the REP program, testimony was given as to whether that account is actually a feasible account to go into escrow, and whether any of the funding in that escrow account is able to be tracked, whether there's expenditures that are tracked, whether there's not any expenditures are tracked. And the interesting thing is, in the Judge Carter case, testimony was given that there are no expenditures tracked, either on the REP program or any other account for any of the homelessness initiatives in the city of Los Angeles. So moving on to item number 19, we have a communication from LAHD. And again, it's another property under the settlement agreement that was not defined clearly as to whether the bedding that was used at that property was clearly defined as what constitutes a bed, who has management supervision of the bed, who has tracking of the expenditures of any of the properties, including the one on Oxnard Street. And similarly, yet again, we find another motion, item number 20, that again was testified to: lack of expenditures, lack of general accepted accounting principles.
Yeah, Speaker, item number 20 is specifically about removing a property from the rent escrow program. So I'm going to ask that you please stick to the items, or I'm going to move you to general public comment.
So we have item number 22, which is supplementing community outreach and engagement. The comments that were made under testimony were actually that no community outreach is actually done as part of these alleged funds that are obtained. There's nobody actually going into the community doing any sort of intake, nobody actually doing any sort of tracking as to who's getting these alleged program services, as to how well they're doing after receiving the alleged program services, as to how much time and money was spent on each of the outreaches. And so how could you possibly then track any sort of success, any sort of positive outcomes for the individuals allegedly that are being claimed to be helped? Well, Judge Carter has a very clear stance on that, and so do all the testimony from all your deputies. They all say it's fraud. They all say it's non-existent. They all say it literally, we knew it's fraud, and we continue to perpetuate it anyway at the behest of the city attorney's office. And now, with that, makes a great transition to the general public comment aspect of all this, right? Which is, who is at the helm of making all of these contracts and knows where the money's going and all the fraud occurring? Who is the general counsel for the city? Well, gee golly, by and large, it's the city attorney's office. So who do you think knows from day one that all this criminal racketeering of fraud is going on? From all the real estate deals happening over a 55-year span, with interest not being clearly defined as to whether it's fair market or whether it's a proprietary equation you pull out of your ass, and what the hell it means, and who gets that money? Nobody has defined it. It was testified to as such by Szabo, by the chief mayor, deputy, by the mayor that was hired to oversee the homelessness initiatives. And the $2 billion is a drop in the bucket over the long 55-year term span where it's trillions of dollars, where it's guaranteed profit going. And when the city can't pay that in cash settlements, they have to pay in kind via assets that they turn over to private entities. In this case, it's developers, to which Heidi comes from the banking sector and had affiliations with the Enron corporations to commit fraud.
Before the next speaker, I'd like to call a few more names: Mohamed Soliman, Christina Cardenas, and Bob Minton.
Good morning, Mr. Nazarian. Mr. McCosker, I know, it's like, I'm making sure he's awake. All right, so let's get started. I want to first talk about, the taking of people's property. What's it called, eminent domain? I'm not a big fan of that, and I can't wait to do like the replay on Smoke and Scan, because I really want to hear what he feels, because I like his opinions. I like to hear his opinions on things. Well, Damon's opinions on things, and because my opinion is that when people say they buy a house, like say if I grew up in a house, right, and I've been living all my life in this house, and say my parents worked hard to get it, and then I have it, and I think it's just horrible that you guys can just come and take it from me, like, because you need whatever. And I'm not saying, I understand sometimes that you have to do things, like, and you need land and everything, but you would think with all your city planning that you would have planned a long time ago what you would have needed or try to work it out. And then I worry on the flip side when you're going to take people's land, that like, are you just doing it as a, like as a grab and not being really considerate of who's living there? And I understand, I know Mr. Price's like wife helps with those kinds of transitions and everything, but.
So you've exhausted your 1 minute on item number 1.
But isn't there 2 of them? I think there's 2 of them. There's only 1? Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay, what about these properties that you're taking off escrow? Like, what's going to happen with them? Can we pass them out? Can we give them to people? Can I have one? Like, I would love to have a yard, let my dogs run around. I think that'd be great. And so I would love that. And also the other one about let's go with the veto one. Like, to me, it almost sounds like there's trouble in paradise, because if you're here to vote on whether or not you can override the mayor's veto, my first inkling is to think that, wow, you must not have confidence in the mayor at this point, and that's interesting, and that's okay. I mean, I think maybe a lot of people don't have confidence in the mayor these days, so I'm not judging for that, but I just find it and I think I guess I'm kind of conflicted. Yes, I don't think that she should have the last say. And I agree. Like, actually, if you can get 10 of you to override her, as long as you're making the right decision for the people and not your own self-interest, then I think that's a good thing. I forget what other comments, or can I just see if everyone's awake? Like, does that matter? Because their names are on the.
So you're welcome to speak to that during general.
Oh, I can? Okay. I don't think Bob's awake, but I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to move you to general public comment.
Okay,
Go ahead, you have 1 minute.
that's fine. All right, so good morning again. Hopefully you're all awake and listening. We'll see. But I have a permit for a peaceful protest. We're protesting against the abuses of family separation and ADA abuses on L. Ron Hubbard Way. I think you've heard me talk a time or two, once in a while, about these abuses and about the abuses of Scientology. I am, of course, being fair gamed. Of course, they are coming after me in different ways, which I'm not surprised, but I believe it so much in standing up for the victims that have not had a voice, or they're still struggling to find their voice, and I'm willing to take those slings and arrows or whatever for the victims. But I just want to let you know, I am not suicidal. I am not, so if anything happens to me, okay, I'm telling you, I'm being threatened, okay? And, but Jennifer Kroskoff, who is a Scientologist, is helping us out, so I'm thankful to her. Thank you, and shout out to Smoking Stand.
Next speaker.
Start with item number 18, Komba Chicken. 不知不觉钟声响起，你静候在原地，等待着它靠近。温柔的他单膝跪地，钻戒缓缓带进你的无名指里。当所有人都替你开心，我却才傻傻清醒。原来我们之间已没有任何关系。感谢你特别邀请来见证你的爱情，我时刻提醒自己别逃避。Item number 19, shrimp egg roll. 今天的你装扮格外美丽，这美也曾拥在怀里。可惜这是你和他的婚礼，而我只是嘉宾。我放下所有回忆，来成全你的爱情，却始终不愿相信这是命。说好的永远变成了曾经，我试着衷心祝福你，请原谅我不体面没出息，选择失陪一下先离席。又不是偶像剧，怎么我演得那么入戏？这不堪入目的剧情。 Item number 20, no more soy sauce. 感谢你特别邀请，观赏你要的爱情。嘉宾也许是另一种宿命，离开你的自己，事到如今还有什么资格关心？毕竟终成眷属的人是你，而我只是嘉宾。我流尽所有回忆来庆祝你的婚礼，却始终没有勇气祝福你。感谢你送给我最后清醒，把自己还给我自己，至少我还能够成为那个见证你们爱情的
General public comment?
嘉宾。I'm here to talk about our damaging budget crisis, and I heard that the agenda on the item is that the mayor was trying to veto, and then somehow the council, trying to fight with the mayor trying to fight with the council. Nobody can figure out, how to deal with the budget. Well, let me tell you who knows how to deal with the budget, especially for all the smoking scan listeners, that Council Member Spindler is the expert dealing with the budget. He will make sure that the city does not waste billions of money to go to homeless while your homeless population continue to go up. Our council member Spindler will make sure every single LAPD officer like Sergeant Duarte, they will have enough overtime to take down the gang, to take down the rapist, to take down the shooter, to take down all of those illegal activity in the city. Thank you very much, council member Spindler.
Speaker, your time has expired.
Before the next speaker, I'd like to call a few more names. Stacy Segarra Bollinger, Thomas Dion Bailey, and Adam Siegler.
Good morning, Honorable City Council and community of Los Angeles. My name is Cristina Cardenas, and I am a project coordinator for LA General Medical Center Foundation, joined today by Breathe Free LA Coalition that stand in solidarity with community members to share ongoing efforts related to secondhand smoke exposure in multi-unit housing and its impact on breathing environments. 1 out of every 3 non-smokers who live in rental housing are exposed to secondhand smoke. We know that certain populations, including seniors, children, persons with disabilities, and those at a lower economic status are overrepresented in rental housing and are exposed to harmful secondhand smoke. In 2023, members of Breathe Free LA Coalition provided public comment to City Council highlighting community concerns around tobacco, vape, and marijuana exposure in multi-unit housing. Since then, we have remained engaged with communities and local leaders across all 15 council districts through district events, and I have packets for the city clerk.
Next speaker. Good morning. You have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general public comment. Go ahead.
Yes, thank you very much. Mohamed Soliman. I am out on bond from Colorado Springs. So we like to talk about for the part is the veto message from your mayor, piece of shit mayor, section 315 of the law, dealing with the budget. The budget is filled with fraud, and I know when I was talking to the FBI the other week, they told us that the mayor is under federal investigation. Let's give FBI a hand. Very good, thank you. And I appreciate the fact that our mayor is going to hold special meeting regarding the budget and regarding security. Also, the other thing that we like to mention in the budget, and motion by Ulises Hernandez, is to have more snacks available so you can have more eating pleasures. It will increase attendance to the meetings. Now we have eminent domain. I know that very well from my country. I come from Egypt. I know very much about the eminent domain. They come by, the secret police, they go, hara, haraba, harabara, harabara, hara. And I say, harabara, hara. And then what you do is they cut off your right hand, and then they offer you money for your property, and they buy your goats. And that's what they do. They take your entire herd, and they take your house, and they deport you and then I come to United States of America with visitor visa, and I apply for a political asylum as a refugee. This is what item 1 is. It is what this is. All the authorization regarding the termination of the right to property, the right to free speech, and the right to civil rights. You see Marquise, he don't even pay attention. I can do anything. I can go fuck. Now I go to
So stick to the agenda items, or I'm going to move you to general public comment.
Yes, I did try to do this, that's all. Now, we now go, I apologize, my English little bit. Number 22, for the funds to steal for gang prevention, first of all, you have to go give a shout out to the gang. This is what we do, so this is what we're going to do. This is Eunice, she taught me this before. This is what we do. See that? This is what we do. We support the gang initiative because we want to take the people off and put them in the tents to sell the goddamn methamphetamine. This is how we do it. This is how we do. Number 22, we take and sell the drugs through the nonprofit.
You're being repetitive at this point. You've been warned already, so I'll move you to general public comment.
This is what we do.
Go ahead, you have 1 minute.
Number 22. So now, this is what's left of my sprinkler in my backyard, everybody. It exploded on Tuesday night. The work of City Hall. Let's give City Hall a hand. See, what happened, Marquise, is they go in your backyard and they cut a tiny incision into your sprinkler system over here, and then it leak a little bit, and you open the box, and it blow up and take your whole fucking side of your eye completely out. This is what City Hall do. Now, how does City Hall do it? This is what we do. We will kill you if you don't support our nonprofits. The FBI is blind. They don't give a shit. They won't call the witnesses. I wish I had more time, but I want to tell you that we have the perpetrator on camera.
Speaker, your time has expired. And as we're waiting for the next speaker to come up, Mr. Spindler, you are now disrupting this meeting. I am trying to address the audience and make an announcement. Do not disrupt this meeting again, or you'll be subject to Rule 7, Rule 12, and eligible for removal. You have been given your time. We do not need to hear from you anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience. Obviously, the views stated by any speaker do not necessarily reflect, and particularly the last speaker, do not reflect the views of this city council. Obviously, some of the things that you may hear, especially the last speaker, are offensive. The fastest way to get through it is to just let it play out. We do apologize. It is more embarrassing for him than it is for anyone else. Good morning, Speaker. I know it's a difficult act to follow. Which items would you like to speak to?
Good morning, Council President Harris-Dawson and members of the council. My name is Thomas Dion Bailey, and I am a renter in Council District 10. I am also a member of Black Women for Wellness. I'm writing today to express my strong support for updating the rent stabilization ordinance with a more balanced and fair formula that protects renters while ensuring small landlords can continue to maintain their properties and relationships with tenants. As a renter in Los Angeles, I value stability and the ability to plan for my future without fear of being priced out of my home. Like many others, I'm not asking for rent to be frozen. We understand that costs rise, but the current formula allows for rent increases that too often outpace inflation, making it difficult for working people to keep up, especially in a city already grappling with a housing affordability crisis. Thank you.
Henry Marini, Jason Jenkins, and Abdul Marsaflit bin Sal.
Good morning. Item number 1, please.
Okay, so you have 1 minute for the item. Go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Council President, honorable council members, and Mr. City Attorney. My name is Adam Siegler. I'm an attorney at Greenberg Traurig, and I represent the owners of the property at 9600 Sepulveda, which is the subject matter of the resolution for necessity. We have timely submitted a letter dated May 29, 2025, stating our objections. I would ask respectfully that that be included in the record and incorporated in my remarks here today. Briefly stated, we believe that the decision to acquire our client's property was taken without any meaningful consideration of other alternatives which might have solved the traffic problem. We believe that violates the appropriate procedures under the resolution of necessity statute. I don't propose to re-argue all those points that are set forth in my letter. I just wanted to bring those matters to the council's attention. Appreciate the careful review by the city attorney's staff and by the council with regard to this matter. I would also like to take a brief moment to acknowledge the city
Speaker,
attorney's
actually,
office.
So right now we're in public comment, so your time for item number 1 has expired. However, if you're representing one of the interested parties, there will still be a separate hearing for item number 1. And so I'd ask that you stick around just in case you would like to be a part of that as well.
All items and general public comment.
Okay, so you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
Item 1 in this entire so-called agenda is a perfect example of the gross incompetence, corruption, and stupidity of sleazy Marquise Dawson and this overpaid sleazy council of buffoons. The singular item for comment on LAX environmental impact report in a city of over 4 million people is all that the short little man Dawson could think to place on this agenda. Incompetent and corrupt. Stupid, stupid, stupid. In my opinion, this impact report should be significantly funded to include wording investigating the impact on the raging homeless epidemic around LAX and the rest of the city caused by the incompetence and corruption of Sleazy Dawson out on bail and on trial, Kern Price and Heather the Hut. In my opinion, this impact report should include an investigation of the impact on the communities around LAX due to incompetent Dawson and Nithya Raman's total and complete incompetence in action that led to the $256 billion in file damage in Los Angeles. Item 22, for $550,000 for social services should be doubled and wording added to not only address gang intervention, but also to address and investigate the sleazy council system of organized crime and corrupt pocketing of homeless funds by Marquise Dawson, indicted Kern Price, and Heather the Hut. The funds in this motion should be taken from the $1 billion LAPD budget increase of these clown buffoons voted for last year, creating the current $1 billion budget deficit emergency where thousands of LA employees will lose their jobs and social services cut. Number 23 is concerning the incompetent and hardy while the city burned to the ground, Mayor Bass's veto message. In my opinion, this veto message item should include wording that would veto all of today's and future votes of this incompetent, homeless, generating, overpaid, incompetent, sleazy council until there is a full investigation and indictments on why incompetent and corrupt Dawson and these idiots let the city burn to the ground via no fire equipment and why they are profiting from the billions of dollars in homeless funding. This item should include a veto of all sleazy council items until LAPD budget is cut by the $1 billion budget increase given to them by these clowns sitting here. General public comment. A couple weeks ago, Tim McCosker made a whining speech about Trump's tariffs harming the people of LA, but on 8/23/2023, McCosker voted to give the LAPD $1 billion budget increase, causing the current $1 billion budget deficit where thousands of city employees will lose jobs and services cut to the public. So when it comes to McCosker talking about harming the people, we the people demand that you sit there and shut your mouth. Tim McCosker, you are being a hypocrite. Currently under investigation, Karen Bass's deputy mayor for public safety under FBI investigation for making bomb threats. LA Fire Department officials recently ousted for $800,000 in credit card fraud. The head of the Homeless Authority ousted for giving $1 million contracts to her husband's company and paying $800,000 hush money to whistleblowers. Judge Carter removing all homeless funds from the city control due to hundreds of millions unaccounted for. Okay.
Thank you. So as I was reading last night before I went to bed at midnight through these notes, I noticed that number 8, which I'm not allowed to speak on, but I noticed that we spend a lot of money, and I say a lot of money because at the end of the day, Anything over $500,000 is a lot of money to today's public eye. But yes, I see we're spending a dollar amount in one category for 4 businesses when the federal government is coming after you guys for spending. Maybe we should spend a little bit more time rewriting some of these items and making it more adjustable for the accountants, whether it be getting free acts and free programs to substitute for the $150,000 you're adding on to the homeless committee programs. Thank you.
Which items would you like to
Yeah,
speak
this
to?
is just general comment.
Okay, so you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Respected Mayor, council members and audience, Assalamu alaikum. Peace of God be with you all. Undoubtedly, the bright future of a nation is based on the moral training and education of the kids. Let me share 2 sayings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said that the best gift the parents can give to the kids is education. Number 2, he said that if God gives 1 daughter or 2 daughters or 3 daughters to anyone, and he fulfills their rights and educates them, he will enter the paradise. Thank you.
Prepared to close public comment. Yeah. All right, that concludes public comment for this morning's meeting. If there's just one more speaker, because it's Mr. Kwan, we will warmly welcome you to the podium.
Good morning. Which
Appreciate
items
the
would you like to
warm
speak to?
Welcome. I'd like to speak on all items in general.
Okay, you have 3 minutes for the items and 1 minute for general. Go ahead.
We've got a bunch of REAP items, and I did think it was weird that, we had an announcement yesterday that we were going to have an hour comment, a bunch of people here to speak about REAP from LA Can, and they weren't able to speak. We cut off comment 20-something minutes early. Apparently, if you're not with Coco, it's a no-go. For the budget item, we are spending $1 million in our Charter Reform Commission. I am so grateful for that, but I don't think we should waste this process. All of you should have received a letter yesterday, a coalition letter about the application process and the need to open that up officially. I did see that yesterday there was a change to the website. It now says apply today, but there's been no announcement and there's no deadline. I've done enough political organizing to know that you gotta have a deadline. Y'all as campaigners make up deadlines. It is the 3rd Friday of the month fundraising deadline. So please, I hope you all do some outreach and ensure we get a diverse pool. John, you're laughing. Do you know that out of the 7 commissioners right now, there's no Asians? We got no Armenians, Adrien. We got nobody from the West Valley, but I'm sure Bob's gonna take care of that. For this council in the budget process, we had a big conversation about youth representation. And Councilmember Padilla, Soto Martinez, Hutt, Hernandez have all been really outspoken on the need for youth representation. Out of our 7 commissioners on the Charter Reform Commission right now, we got no one under the age of 40. And pretty much all of them, I haven't done the math for all of them, but most of them, almost all of them are over 50. So if we're gonna get a diverse pool, we gotta get those applications in. I do also want to just end with my general comment on this whole letters of resignation thing. Mayor Bass is circumventing the ordinance y'all passed and got a noose around the necks of all of these commissioners. I really would rather focus on other things, like charter reform or bullying Ugo and Unisys. But instead, I got to go back to Bass. So I beg the council president to circle back with his boss and ask her to rip up those letters and commit that she's not going to use them. Otherwise, I'm going to have to keep on harping on that. And I don't think it's going to look good. Most people, when they hear about that practice, generally speaking, don't like it. But when we got a law on the books designed to prevent it, that's really icky. So please, don't make me be mean. I'd rather just be a nerd. And Grote, I did want to just shout out, this is the 25-year anniversary of the Lakers winning Game 7 against the Blazers. So